Hey guys, what's up? Hackerino here. Today we're gonna talk about the different types of shelters with their benefits and their disadvantages. And yeah, at the very beginning, a little disclaimer, I didn't own each and every type of the shelters that I will talk about. I have some personal experience with double wall tents and with the tarp setup. And then I spoke to some other folks who have some experience with the other types of shelters, and on top of that I have done some really intensive research in the past before I picked my tarp setup, and I've spent hundreds of hours going through the different solutions. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. The classic solution of a shelter is the double wall tent. As the name already suggests, it consists of two walls or two setups, basically two tents in one. We have a rain fly, and then we have the inner tent, which consists of some bug netting. Then we have a ground sheet, which is also a bathtub. And yeah, it's very easy to set up. It's pretty much foolproof. But the main disadvantage is the fairly high weight, mostly because of the tent poles, and then we also carry all the fabric for two separate tents or setups. The good thing is, because it's modular, you can decide, depending on the weather situation, if you can leave one component of the tent at home. Let's say you don't expect rain, then you can just take your inner tent with the bug netting to save some weight. If you combine both elements, it's really storm worthy. Of course, there are some differences between a non-quality tent and a very high quality tent. Usually they are fairly expensive. Like a good one starts at, I would say, $300, and the high-end tents, they go beyond 1,000 bucks, and it can get really ridiculous when it comes to the price. Another great advantage, at least of some tents, is that they are freestanding. And as I already said, it can get really handy if you have to pitch your tent on a wooden platform to protect the nature, or if there's only sand or rocks. And then it's really handy to have a freestanding setup. The next shelter that I want to talk about is a simplified version of the double wall tent, the single wall tent. And we have just one wall, and we lose the advantage of two walls, and the condensation advantage, because when you have two tents or two walls, the moisture travels through the bug netting, and then the condensation builds on the outermost wall that you don't really touch with your sleeping bag. But if you only have one wall and condensation builds on this wall, it's very easy to touch it with your sleeping bag, and then it gets wet pretty fast. The fabric of a single wall tent is supposed to be breathable, but it's also very limited, these breathable fabrics. That being said, it's very easy to get condensation inside, especially if you have to zip it up completely, if there is the reason for it, like a storm, high winds or whatever. And I think that the biggest disadvantage of a single wall tent, or in a non-modular system in general, is when it rained during the night and you have to pack it up in the morning, everything will get soaking wet. And when you pitch it the next evening, you have to deal with a sleeping area that is also completely soaked. Or you spend some time during the day drying it out. That would be a possible solution. Then the tarp tent as a third shelter. This is pretty much a single wall tent with some mesh elements. The benefit is that you have an improved ventilation and it also keeps the bugs out. It is also very lightweight compared to the tent setups because you don't have to carry the tent poles anymore. Instead, you will use your trekking poles or another type of stick that you find if you don't work with trekking poles. And then with these trekking poles, you can set up your tarp tent very easily and very fast. It's also not modular, and because of that, we also have this really big disadvantage to pack it up wet and then get a soaking wet sleeping area also. So let's go over to the tarps, which I used on the Appalachian Trail last year. Usually a tarp is just a piece of fabric, and there are different types of tarps. We have a flat tarp with 90-degree corners, and it's very simple. You can pitch it in any way you can imagine. There's really there's no limitation on that end. If you find trekking or if you find trees, you can use that. You can use your trekking poles also, or rocks or roots, everything that is on location. But the main disadvantage, you have to learn some skills to set it up. So you really have to practice it a lot in order to get a really good pitch. Also, when it's stormy outside, it is very hard to set it up right. But if you have the appropriate experience, that shouldn't be a problem. Also, it is fairly open, the whole system. Even though it provides great ventilation and you will have no condensation problems at all, it might not be the best solution in a very well-traveled or in areas where there are lots of people around, because everybody can see what you're doing. And the privacy is definitely missing. But the tarp tent, you have such a great area of coverage for so little weight. 9 foot or 10 foot by 10 foot tarp that weighs maybe 10 or 12 ounces. It's ridiculously light, and that is really the main advantage. There's also a very specific type of tarp that needs some love, I think, and some attention. It's called the mid, which is short for Pyramid-Tarp. And as the name says, it's it looks like a pyramid, and it's really storm worthy, and it can be used in the worst conditions. And it's also very lightweight because you just have to use your trekking pole to set it up. The disadvantage is, because it's a closed system, is that you will have some problems with condensation, and it's very limited in pitching wise, because you just can pitch it in one way. So you have to make the decision. Do you want a very storm-worthy shelter, or do you want flexibility? Then there are also bivvies. Bivvies are like a cocoon for your sleeping bag, and you just put your sleeping mattress or your thermal rest, whatever you have, inside your bivvy. Then you put in your sleeping bag and then yourself into the bivvy. It is all in all a very small system. It's the most minimal solution that you can get, and it can get pretty claustrophobic, or how you say it. You cannot sit up in a bivvy, and it can be pretty confining. But on the other hand, it's very lightweight, and you can use it perfectly in combination with the tarp. There are basically two different types of bivvies. One is mountaineering bivy sack, which utilizes a water-proof fabric on the bottom and on the top. And due to this waterproof fabric, you would have problems with condensation inside. But there are also some bivvies that have a breathable top, and you won't have any condensation at all. I mean, of course it depends on the fabric, but in general you will have a lot less condensation issues. And yeah, combined with the tarp, it's a perfect setup. On my next trip I definitely want to try it out. Which I didn't mention, that reminds me, you can also combine a tarp with the bug netting, which has sometimes a bathtub sewn to it. So you can make your tarp modular and bug proof also. So the last type of shelter that I want to talk about is the hammock. And there are people that absolutely love the hammocks. They ditch their bed at home and they just sleep in hammocks because it can be really comfortable if you know how to set it up and if you know how to lie in your hammock. That makes all the difference. And yeah, also a very big advantage of hammocks is that the surface conditions beneath you, they don't matter at all, because you just need 2 anchor points, which is also a disadvantage because you cannot set up your tarps without 2 solid anchor points. But if you have some, then it can be rooty or rocky or whatever underneath you, it doesn't matter. It's a pretty cool setup. You also need some protection from the rain, usually, or I think in all cases, in form of a tarp that protects you from rain above and also from winds. And yeah, because it's very free, I don't know how to say it. What I want to say is the airflow is absolutely perfect. You won't have to deal with condensation at all. Oh, what I forgot is, it's not the very lightest setup. You will also have to carry your tree protection straps. They are usually fairly heavy, and combined with the rainfly and the bug netting, I think the lightest setups are 2 pounds. Usually they tend to be a little bit heavier. But everybody has to make his own decision. And in the end, it's all a matter of the environmental conditions and your personal preferences. So that was my 2 cents. And I hope you got a good understanding of the shelters out there and that you can make your decision accordingly. So in the next video I will talk about sleeping bags, which is also the last item of the big 3. And then I will go on with some other gear reviews and tips and tricks about hiking. So stay tuned. Until next time. See ya.